Okay, we're back. This is Techmath2 review, chapter 13, 14, part 3. We're going to do numbers 14, 15, 16, 18, 25 ABC, and 26. All right. Oh, and I promised you a little bit of Star Wars trivia, factoid, whatever. So this is back to episode 4, the 1977 Star Wars. All right, so if you look carefully at the back of the stormtroopers' costumes, right above their butt, they had a cylinder thing, just a cylinder, a little white cylinder there. That was because on the original concepts, everybody was going to have lightsabers, and then including stormtroopers, and then he decided to nix that and only make Jedis have lightsabers. And so that was something that they left in the costume, but it didn't make as much sense. And also, there's a line in the movie that right when Luke is going to blow up the Death Star. Oh, spoiler alert! Sorry, you had like 42 years to see the movie, though. In my defense, they're going in on a run, and his friend is like, "Luke, they're coming in much faster this time." But this was the first run that they were making on the Death Star trench to try to blow it up. And so they had edited out a version where Luke had fired and missed. And then he went on a second time and fired and blew up the Death Star. So Biggs, his friend Biggs, that gets blown up. Oh, another spoiler. Said they're coming in much faster this time. All right. Okay. So there's a slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Slope is often referred to as the change in y or the change in x, or rise over run. So all we do here is plug and chug. This is x1, y1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Doesn't matter what order you put it. If you called this one x1 and y1 and this one x2 and y2, you'd still get the same answer. The negatives will work out in the wash. So look, we get negative 4 minus negative 2 over 5. Oh, wait, I did it backwards. I just was talking about doing it backwards, and then I did it backwards. Let's try again. Negative 2 minus negative 4 over 5 minus negative 3. All right, so 2 negatives in a row make a positive. 2 negatives in a row make a positive, and we end up with 8 on the bottom and 2 on the top. 2/8, which reduces to divide by 2, top and bottom, 1/4. Careful on that. Don't trip at the finish line. A lot of people tell me 4 because they do, 8 and 2, that's 4. The 2 is on the top and the 8's on the bottom, so it's 1/4. Now look, if you would have flipped it the other way, like how I had started it, if I went negative 4 minus negative 2 over negative 3 minus 5, then I would get negative 4 plus 2 over negative 8, which is negative 2 over negative 8, which is a negative over a negative is still a positive. 1/4. So that's what I mean. It doesn't matter which ones you identify as x1 and x2 and y1 and y2. All right? Write the equation in slope-intercept form. That means solve for y. That's a fancy way of saying solve for y. So here, let's, what do we do? Isolate the variable. Careful, you can't put 3 with x, so it's just 6x minus 3 equals negative 2y, and then divide everything by what's in front of the y. We're just solving for y. And so we end up with negative 3x plus 1.5, or 3/2 if you want to leave it 3/2, that's fine. And then we'll write y first. Y is equal to negative 3x plus 1.5. Done. So if you wanted to, you could now type that into your calculator, your graphing calculator, and hit graph, and it would graph a nice little line for you. All right, let's look at 16 on the same page. Dun, 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 dun. Write the equation of the line passing through 4, 1. So through 4, 1, but parallel to 3x plus 2y equals 7. Ay, caramba. So on the test, it won't be that involved. It's going to just give you the slope, I think. I think they say through this point with this slope. Or if it is parallel, it's already solved. So look, this one is a little screwed around because we got to get it solved for y in order to determine the slope. So just like what we did on that last one where we solve it for y, negative 3 halves x plus 7 halves. That's our equation solved out for y. But now we have it in y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. And so m, the slope of this line is negative 3 halves. And then the slope of the parallel line, remember parallel lines never cross. So I'm saying slope subpar parallel, that's also going to be negative 3 halves. If it was perpendicular, then we would make it the opposite reciprocal. Then we would use 2/3. But it didn't say perpendicular, it said parallel. So that has the same slope. So negative 3 halves. I think on the test you don't have to do any of that. I think it's either solve for y or they just plain out give you, here's a point, here's the slope, give me the equation. So there's 2 ways to do this. I only demonstrated one way on the notes. I'll do both ways right now. So look, you could use y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x sub 1. That's called point slope form. You can do this, and then you sub in that, and that into there, and there. All right? So here, let me sub them in. Y minus 1 equals, the slope is negative 3 halves times x minus 4. So we replace that with 4, that with a negative 3 halves, that with a 1. Oh, here, I'll make that minus. All right. Okay, so now distribute and solve for y. So we got y minus 1 equals negative 3 halves x. Remember, we multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, negative times a negative is a positive 12 over 2. So we got y minus 1 equals negative 3 halves x plus 6. And then we add the 1 to both sides to get y equals negative 3 halves x plus 7, done. That's one way to do it. Some people hate that way. If you hate that way, there's another way to do it, where you can use this equation. So y equals mx plus b, the two things you need for an equation of a line, you need the slope and you need the y-intercept, b. And so we already have the slope. So what we can do is say, look, I got a 4, I got a 1, I got a slope, I got an x, a y, and a slope. 1, 2, 3, 4 variables, and 3 values for those variables. So you put the 1 in, you put the negative 3 halves in, you put the 4 in, and now you find b. Top times top, bottom times bottom. Negative 12 over 2 plus b. 1 is equal to negative 6 plus b. And then add 6 to both sides. And we have 7 is equal to b. And then we have b. Now we have the slope. And we write our equation. Y equals negative 3 halves x plus 7. Lots of people prefer this way because you don't have to solve and then sub it back into like another equation. Where this way it's all kind of self-solving. We're done. You just solve it for y. But a lot of people like this way too because you're not memorizing a new equation. So either way, I don't care which way you do it. Just get it right. All right, and then the last one, we're going to do 18 and 25 and 26. So let's look at those problems. All right. 18 is, distance formula between that point and that point. So that's just plug and chug again. Distance formula is equal to the change in x, quantity squared, plus the change in y, quantity squared. And so again, it doesn't matter which one you put first or second because you're squaring them in this case. So distance here is going to be -3 minus -1 squared. Just mind your positives and negatives. That's usually where mistakes happen with these. And 2 minus 5 squared. And so look, we got -3 plus 1, quantity squared. We get 3 squared, that's the square root. That's -2 squared. 3 squared all over. So 4 plus 9, we're looking at the square root of 13. And they want it, 3 significant digits. We haven't seen that in a while. So let's see, 3.605551275. So 3 significant digits. Sig-digs. So remember how that works. Zeros and count if it, is more. If they would have wanted 4, we would have did 1, 2, 3, 4, and that 0 would have counted because it was in between two numbers. But since we can just round it to 6, 1, and we're good. If that would have been like a 3, it would have been 3.603, where it would have been 3.60. We would have had to put, remember that weird little line? I think it was underneath it to show that it was significant or something. But we didn't have to. It went to that. So there we are. Let's look at, I'll erase the board again. Okay, that's 18. Let's do 25 and 26. And so 25 and 26 are the measures of central tendency. Mean, median, and mode. Those are all descriptors of data. They're all sort of averages. Every normal day people usually refer to the mean as an average. So here, let's 36, 23, 27, 31, 35, 23, 35, and 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. N equals 10. That's usually N is what we use. That's the number of pieces of data. All right, and so a mean, you'll have to find this on the test. That is, add up the 10 numbers. And divide by how many there are. So there's 10. So that turns out to be 278, and we divide that by 10, that is 27.8. Done. That's the mean. Most people refer to that as an average, although all of these are averages. The median is the one that's exactly in the middle. So in order to find the middle, we have to first put these in order. See, they're all gobbly-gooped up. So we've got to go 15, 23, 23, 23, 25, 25, 27, 30, 31, 35, 35, 36. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're in order. So if we count to the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the median happens actually when there's an odd set of data, there's one number that's exactly in the middle. When there's an even set of data, like n equals 10, you have to average the two middle numbers. So add those together and divide by 2 to find the median. Now, the good thing about the median is it doesn't get skewed by outliers. It's unaffected by outliers. Look, if I threw in 900, if I replace that 30 with 900, that would totally mess up the mean because it wouldn't be representative of most of the data because the 900 would really pull it out of whack. If I put 900 in there, for this piece of data, it wouldn't affect it at all. It would still be 28.5. So extreme values don't affect the median. All right, let's look at C. The mode, that one's easy. That's the one that occurs most. If it's a two-way tie, if there's 3 of one and 3 of another, you put them both down. But now look, it's not just repeats because this mode is 23. even though there were 235s, that's not the mode because there's 3. It's the one that occurs most often. You only put down multiple modes if there's a tie for the most often. The last thing there is, if no repeats, then no mode. You just say no mode. You don't put down everything. All right, let's look at 26. Sample of cars sold in a week were 5 and 2 and 1 and 3 and 0 and 2. And it says find the mean. And so we got 5 plus 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 2, all divided by 6. And then that's 13 over 6. And then that's 2.16 repeating. And they want it to 10th place, so 2.2. This is average cars sold in a week. All right. Excellent. So again, be ready for the test. This is the only stats that are going to be on the test. I took off standard deviation, so don't worry about standard deviation. All right. And I hope it's going good. We're closing in on the end.